This is the fifth lesson of Unit 6, and the topic today is negative exponents. So let's jump right into it and look at the negative exponent rule. The negative exponent rule states that if we have some coefficient that we'll call x is to a negative exponent, in this case negative m, that equals the same thing as 1 over that coefficient to a positive version of that same exponent. Another way to think of that is if we have 1 over the coefficient to a negative exponent, that would be the same thing as x to the positive m. Hopefully that makes sense. If not, perhaps looking at some examples will clarify. So let's look at some of those examples. Number 1, x to the negative fifth power. What does that mean? Well, that means the same thing as 1 over x to the positive fifth power. For number 2, we have 3m to the negative 2. The thing you want to be careful about here is that 3 is actually to the first power. We don't see that there. So 3 stays the same as it is. That negative 2 exponent is being applied to only the m value. Because of that, it goes in the denominator of our fraction, and it changes to m to the positive second power. Number 3, once again, that negative 7 has a positive power, so it just stays in the numerator of the fraction, as does the b to the third. And then a to the negative fourth will drop to the denominator and become a positive. Number 4. Number 4 is going to combine some things that we've learned in previous lessons because we're multiplying two monomials. We have 6x to the 8th power multiplied by negative 3 over x to the positive 7. Well, let's simplify this. 6 times negative 3 would be negative 18. And now let's look at this. We have 8x to the 8th power being divided by x to the 7th. We just learned about dividing monomials, and we learned that when we divide monomials, that you subtract the exponents. So x to the 8th minus x to the 7th would give us x to the first power. We don't need to write it to the first power, so it would just be x. So our final answer is just negative 18x. Number 5, this one's a little more tricky. We want to look at this as the whole quantity of 3x to the third to the negative 2. So 3 squared would be 9, but since it's negative, it needs to become a 1/9. X to the third times to the negative second power, that would be x to the negative 6. So that would be in the denominator as a positive. So our answer is 1 over 9x to the 6th power. So these get a little complicated, so be careful, take your time, and think about what you need to do. So let's look at number 6. We have the 5 right here, and that's to the negative square, so that's going to be 1 over 25, because 5 times 5 is 25. Y squared times, or to the negative second power, so 2 times a negative 2 would be a negative 4. And since it's a negative 4, it needs to go in the denominator. And when we move it there, it becomes positive. So our answer is 1 over 25y to the 4th power. Let's continue on. at this point, for 7 through 9, I'm going to ask you to pause the video, try to figure out 7 through 9 on your own. Once you are done, unpause it, check your answers. All right, here are the answers for 7 through 9. Keep in mind for 8 and 9, since you're multiplying, first thing you need to do is simplify and then multiply the terms together, remembering what we know about multiplying monomials. So if you have specific questions about these, certainly come and ask me once we're in class. Otherwise, we're just going to move right along. So let's look at number 10. First thing I want to do for number 10 is simplify this. So we're going to distribute this -2 across that whole quantity. So a 4 to the -2 would give me a 1/16. X to the third to the second power would give me an x to the -6. And then y to the 6th to the -2 would give me a y to the -12. And that's going to be added to 2 to the -3rd. That'd be 2 times 2 times 2, which would be 1/8, since it's a negative. X squared to the -3rd would be x to the -6. And y to the 4th to the -3rd would be y to the -12. Now, if you'll notice, we have, since these are being added, we have common monomials here, but we need to be able to add the fractions together. So we've got to convert this 1/8 to be a common factor with the 1/16. So 1/8 is the same thing as 2/16. And that way, since they have the same denominator, we can add them. So that would give us 3/16 x to the -6, y to the -12. Or, the fancy way of writing our answer then, if I erase all that, our final answer would be 3/16 x to the 6, y to the 12 as our final answer. So let's look at a different format as we look at 11 and 12. Here we're dividing. So remember last unit, or last lesson, we learned that when we're dividing, we subtract. So 4 minus 6 would give us h to the -2. So our real answer then would be 1/h squared. For number 12, we have k to the -2 divided by 7. So that would be -2 minus 7. That would give us k to the -9. And so that would work out to be 1/k to the 9th power. For 13, 14, and 15, I'm going to go ahead and ask you once again to pause the video and try to work these out by yourself. The answers will be up in just a moment. There are the answers for 13 through 15. As a reminder, you need to make sure that you just treat the coefficients, or these numerical values, as regular. So 14 divided by 7 would be a 2. A -24 divided by 3 would be a -8. And over here on this one, as we did over here, we're just subtracting. So b squared divided by b squared, subtract 2 minus 2 would be 0, so the b disappears. And then you have c to the first divided by c to the fifth, so 1 minus 5 would be a -4, so the answer would be 1/c to the 4th. So here are a few more challenging problems. And let's work on these together. Number 16. Let's simplify this first. So x to the fourth divided by x to the second. 4 minus 2 would be x to the second. Y to the negative third divided by y to the second. That would be negative 3 minus 2. So that would be y to the negative 5. So then when we simplify that, that's going to be x squared divided by y to the fifth. For number 17, we'll start with 32 divided by 8. That's going to give us 4. We have a to the fifth divided by a to the negative 2. So 5 minus negative 2. That will give us a to the seventh power. And then we have b to the negative third divided by b to the sixth. So negative 3 minus 6. That would give us b to the negative 9. So when we simplify that, we have 4a to the seventh power divided by b to the ninth. For 18, 36 divided by 12 is 3. X to the negative 4 stays as x to the negative 4. There's nothing to divide it by. And then we have y to the 8th divided by y to the 7th. So 8 minus 7 will be 1. So y to the first power, or just y. So when we simplify that, 3 and y stay up top in the numerator, and x to the fourth power moves to the denominator. So 19, 20, and 21, once again, go ahead and pause the video and do these on your own. And when you are done, unpause it and check your answers. And here are the answers for 19 through 21. We have 5b squared divided by 6c. Then we have negative q to the third divided by 2pr to the seventh. And then we have s to the fourth divided by 6r cubed times t to the fourth. That completes this lesson on negative exponents. And we'll see you on the next lesson.